You can hear Ringside Report Radio Wednesdays and Friday nights here on TSN 690. You can also check out the website at ringsidereport.net, or you can follow him on twitter.com/DaveSimonMMA. It is Dave Simon.
That is a lot of...
I like to intro people properly.
Yeah, that's a lot, man. It's a lot to cover.
I feel like you give... you get a better interview from your guest if you build them up first because they're in a better mood.
Yeah, that put me in a great mood.
There you go. That and the Orioles losing just now to the A's, as Dave Simon, a Yankees fan, happy with that.
Anybody in the AL East losing, other than the Yankees, I'm pretty much happy about it, including your Boston Red Sox.
I know.
Which they're not losing enough lately, which is a problem.
All right, back to MMA. Big fight last night. The franchise, as I like to call him, Jon Jones was in action, taking out Chael Sonnen, and some people saying putting him into retirement. How did you see that fight, Dave? A pretty quick one.
Yeah, it was a dominant performance from Jon Jones, a first-round TKO victory. He just put a beating on Chael Sonnen. He out-Sonnen'd Chael. He took him down 3 times. Sonnen at the post-fight press conference saying he doesn't think he'd been taken down 3 times in his whole career, let alone in one round. Very impressed with the UFC light heavyweight champion. The guy's just 25 years old. He's already tied Tito Ortiz's record of UFC light heavyweight championship defenses at 5. He's going to break the record in his next fight. He's a phenom. He is a phenom in sports. He is the LeBron James, the Michael Jordan, whatever you want to call him. He is the man right now. And
quite a family, too. A couple guys in the NFL, brothers.
Yeah, that's right. His brother Chandler plays for the Patriots, and his brother Arthur plays for the Baltimore Ravens. Just won a Super Bowl, and Jon Jones, the light heavyweight champion of the world.
Amazing.
Yeah, the Jones parents must be very proud.
So the big story coming out of this one, Dave, and we'll get to who he'll face next, is the injury. He a broken, was it a toe?
Yeah, it looks like he fractured his toe, his big toe, which is pretty bad. It was a pretty gruesome injury. That he didn't actually realize until the fight was over. He was about to be interviewed by Joe Rogan. He was kind of throwing knees and kicks at the camera, celebrating, and then he looks down at his foot, and he realizes, whoa, there's blood there, and his toe is kind of upside down. He pointed at it. Joe Rogan looked at it and said, whoa, and then you could tell he wasn't limping before he realized it, but afterwards, the adrenaline had him pumping so hard that, he didn't realize that he was injured, and then as soon as he saw it, he started to limp, and he needed to sit down on a stool during his post-fight interview there in the octagon, because, you could pass out after that, an adrenaline dump like that, and you look down and you see your toe kind of upside down, the bone sticking out. It was gross. Right. Yeah, it was gross, but he's going to be all right.
Certainly there's some recovery time, could affect the cardio and all that, but
it could affect when his next fight is going to be.
Well, that brings us to the next question. Everybody wants to know, the phenom, as you mentioned, everyone talking, whispering about Anderson Silva, the other sort of big name other than GSP. Those are the big 3 names, I guess, in MMA right now. And could it happen? When could it happen? And will it happen?
I think it could happen end of 2013, November, December. I think it could happen then.
Is that too long of a layoff, though, for Jones?
No, I don't think so. This is what he was actually planning. Before this fight, he said he wanted to fight again in November against a light heavyweight, defend his championship, and then entertain the idea of super fights or possible fights at heavyweights going forward. So, this fight could be for the light heavyweight title. Anderson could move up to 205, challenge for the title. It is going to be a super fight and maybe a little bit earlier than Jones had wanted for this fight with Anderson, but apparently Anderson Silva called Dana White during UFC 159 last night and asked for a fight. Dana wouldn't reveal what fight he was asking for, but you can put 2 and 2 together and figure that Anderson was calling Dana to say, look, I really want to fight Jon Jones. I got to get inside the cage with this guy. But Dana telling him, first, you have to get past Chris Weidman, who is the number 1 contender at middleweight.
And that's probably why he didn't say what he was asking for, because it would be disrespectful, certainly, to his opponent.
Yeah, because Dana basically said, it doesn't matter. He's got to get past Chris Weidman. He can fight or want to fight whoever he wants going forward, but July 6th is when he fights Chris Weidman, and he's got to defend his title. Otherwise, no one cares about a super fight. Anderson Silva has to get past his next one, and then we could be looking at the biggest fight in the history of the sport.
I was going to ask, is it up there? Is it the fight that people would want to see? And I would think there'd be an automatic rematch as well, perhaps, if it was indeed a good fight.
Yeah, I mean, it depends how it goes. I have no idea how that fight would go. I can't wait to see it. The style matchup would be unbelievable. It could go taking place in the United States at the Dallas, Texas Stadium.
Pondering maybe that it might be where the Cowboys play.
Yeah, those are the options that Dana White always gives as to where this super fight could happen. You know, a super fight between Jon Jones and Anderson Silva, or even Anderson Silva and George St. Pierre. He always says 3 locations. We could either do it at a soccer stadium in Brazil, get 90 to 100,000 people in Brazil to see Anderson Silva. You could do it in the United States, in Dallas at that Cowboys stadium, or you could do it here in Canada at the Rogers Centre out in Toronto. They already did the only stadium show in UFC history there, about 60, 70,000 people at that one, so they could go back and do a super fight there. I think it's more likely that the super fight that would take place in Toronto would be a George St. Pierre super fight. I don't know if Anderson and Jones would be there, but you know, Toronto's a big market, Canada's a big market for the sport, so you never know.
Dave, Darren Rovell, sports business analyst, had tweeted last night that he knows a guy who went to the event last night that paid $50 for a $553 face value ticket. He asked the question, should UFC maybe lose a little bit, losing its edge because of the amount of events that they have every single month or once a month for the calendar year?
No, everybody's always asking that question. Oh, is it oversaturation? Is it too much? And it's not. As long as the UFC keeps producing good fights, they're going to produce good fights and people are going to watch them. They had 4 straight weeks of MMA in the month of April. Every Saturday in April had a UFC show, and it was fantastic. I am tremendously bummed out, and I know a lot of MMA fans are sad now because we have to wait 2 weeks, 2 more Saturdays for the next UFC show. So we got used to it. There is no oversaturation. That one guy who got a ticket for, what was it, $50 for a $600 ticket?
Yeah.
It's just one lucky guy. You know, it's not like everybody is paying $50 for those $600 tickets. People are buying them. I don't know when that guy got the ticket. Maybe he got it while the event was actually going on. Maybe he just found sometimes you see a single ticket from a scalper. They're just trying to get it, or ticket broker, I'm sorry. You know, they're trying to get it sold quickly, so they're going to sell it at a premium. You know, I mean, these things happen, but I don't think it should reflect, one story shouldn't reflect on the UFC as a whole. I think business is not only doing well, but it's improving. It is booming. There were people from Doritos yesterday at the UFC event trying to get it done, a deal done perhaps with the UFC. They're getting some serious sponsors. They're going to have a meeting with Reebok later this week.
The network Fox,
of course,
games,
Fox.
fights are going okay.
Jon Jones, the first MMA fighter with a Nike, a worldwide Nike deal. So they're doing pretty good. That Jon Jones Nike sneaker, by the way, and T-shirt sold out in 45 minutes on the Nike website.
Which is ironic because they don't wear running shoes in the cage, but I guess, when you're a name, you're a name. But Dave, elsewhere on that card last night, any other fights of note or of interest or fights of the night? Or
Yeah, I mean, it was an incredible night of fights. Jim Miller, Pat Healy was the fight of the night. Pat Healy coming in from Strikeforce. He was an underdog on the main card, and he gets a win over Jim Miller, a real tough 155er. A great fight between Healy and Miller. Miller is just a tremendous grappler, jiu-jitsu black belt, and he was choked unconscious with a rear naked choke last night from Pat Healy. A very impressive. Michael Bisping got a win over Alan Belcher. It was a technical decision. A lot of eye pokes last night. A couple technical decisions due to some pokes to the eye, which was unfortunate, but overall some great fights. Sarah McMahon, a silver medalist for the United States in 2004 in Olympics, made her UFC debut last night. She is now 7-0. A lot of people looking at her as a potential opponent down the road for Ronda Rousey. Roy Nelson knocked out Czech Congo. I mean, a lot of stuff happened, and interesting things going on in the UFC. Roy Nelson looking at a possible fight with Daniel Cormier going forward, according to Dana White, or a fight with Mark Hunt if Hunt beats Junior Dos Santos at the next UFC pay-per-view in May, UFC 160.
What's happening on Wednesday night for your show?
I mean, we're really going to get into what's going on with the UFC, what's happening with Jon Jones, when we can expect him to fight again, who we can expect him to fight, and just so much going on in the world of MMA right now. And it'll be the first show in May, so it'll be exciting stuff. A new month and some big fights coming up in May. UFC 160, as I mentioned. There's a card in Brazil as well. Vitor Belfort, Luke Rockhold. Some good fights coming up in the UFC.